Hey guys, Mr. George Remus here with another build for the first Ascendant. Today we're looking at Serena and her new Transcendent mod, Archangel. For specific use, we're going to use this in Onslaught Level 4 and public queue. It works, you do some decent damage, you kind of stay alive, it's fun. It's honestly a cool way to play Serena after having pretty limited options prior to this. But if you enjoy the video, find anything interesting, comment down below. Any questions, like the video, and consider subscribing to the channel to help support channel growth. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off, we're going to talk about the Transcendent mod itself, Archangel. If you have not seen this yet, it makes Serena a critical skill-based descendant. You can still use firearms with her if you want, but the primary focus is going to be your skills. What this will do to change your abilities is your one becomes Holy Fire. This is an AoE that increases its target count based off of your range, which we will be investing in. It also will give you a stack of Holy Passion, which looks like a special resource, but it is not technically a special resource. It does stack up to 7, and we will need that later on. Looking at her third ability, Blazing Offensive, this is a death from above kind of ability that replaces your normal dash. This actually does a lot of damage. It's like really important to use. It will replenish 1 stack of Holy Fire each time you use it. So when this runs empty, you can use this to restock it. This is also like a really satisfying move to pull in combat. Finally, her 4 ability, Sacred Strike, you wield Serena's mace and throw it like a high impact meteorite at enemies below you. I love this ability, and you gain bonus damage based off of how many stacks of Holy Passion that you have from using your Holy Fire, up to 7. It's honestly kind of crazy how strong this is, and I absolutely love it. Finally, your passive, Angelic Power. This works kind of similar to normal. You get some extra attack and skill power while you're in the air, as well as a little bit of damage reduction while in the air, which is going to be really important because if you fly too high and things shoot at you, you just take damage with no real way to heal. One more thing to go over here. This is a critical based build, and the way that they did the skill crit hit rate increase on her is a bit different. It applies to her 1, her 3, and her 4 abilities when they actually are used and like they hit enemies. So you won't see the skill increase in your info. It'll look like you're less than 100%, but I promise we will get to a 100% critical hit rate. And for the trigger mod, we have the new Arche Blaze. You obviously want this double gold. How we will be using this is when your 2 is activated, which is a levitation type skill. Tracking projectiles will do bonus damage. So when this is active, every time, if you have, like I have 100% trigger rate, every time I use her 1 ability and it hits somebody, they take bonus damage based off your skill power. This is honestly just so easy and free. I absolutely love it. Here's a little demonstration of what all this will look like. You will use your 1 ability to gain stacks of the Holy Passion. There is a buff to the left of the screen, but it is also that bar that looks like a special resource, but it is not a special resource. Anything that works off of special resources is not affected by this. It's just an easier way to see where your stacks are at while in the heat of combat. Secondly, if you have your 2 activated, this is how you're going to levitate. If you use your 3, you fly up in the air. Short presses, you kind of just dash, but if you hold it, you do this death from above kind of animation. It falls below you. It's kind of hard to aim with, but if you kind of stay close to the ground, you're going to do a lot of damage. And then finally, for like your big enemies, you can pop your 4, you just throw that mace down, doing millions of damage. Looking back at the mods, our Ancestor mod, you absolutely want skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. I cannot find a decent critical hit rate and damage mod to save my life right now. But even without the critical hit damage on this mod, I am having a blast. I am doing millions of damage. I'm having the most DPS in my public queues. It is still phenomenal even without the damage, but you do absolutely want at least, if my math is mathin', 234% skill critical hit rate. That's how we're going to achieve our 100%. If we are close to that, like let's say you have a 200%, I will show you some ways to help get you up to that 100%. It's just kind of hard to show it when the info screen doesn't reflect the actual crit rate because of how these skills are labeled. All right, for the mods themselves, we're gonna go over some easy stuff first. I got skill expansion for range, bio expansion for health and range, HP amplification. I'm already eating a lot of shields, so I just took a little bit extra HP. You could run HP increase here if you want. I'm running shield consumption for the skill cooldown, also eating some max shield, and then nimble fingers for cooldown. For damage, I have Dangerous Ambush and Onslaught. The fact that this is a skill power ratio boost, when you get buffs for skill power, those two things are just amazing together. You get a lot more damage than you would think out of it. Focus on fire for both the cooldown and the fire boost ratio. Front lines for the skill critical hit damage, and skill concentration for more critical hit damage. Right here, I want to add, if your mod is lacking that critical hit rate, you can swap this out for emergency measures or skill insight to help push you to that next level of critical hit rate if you're shy of the 233% requirement. Alternatively, if you have like a god roll ancestor mod, you got that skill critical hit rate and damage, and you just have a lot of it, like it's a really good ancestor mod. If you want, you can drop front lines for more survivability to help keep you alive. Another HP mod would not hurt here. For the weapon itself, I went with Wave of Light. This is a critical hit impact round based weapon. With Serena's 2, while you're in the air, those two conditions together will give you MP recovery. This is the tool that we're going to use to achieve that. The important things that you need on this are firearm critical hit rate, fire rate, and then the recoil down on your cores. Outside of that, it doesn't matter. Even for the mods themselves on the weapon, I don't have anything stitched together. The important highlights are the firearm critical hit rate increase, the edging shot for the firearm critical hit rate increase, and the fire rate up. I put expand impact magazine on to help out with impact rounds, and then these are just a little bit of extra damage just to have it. I don't really use this for combat purposes. This is just to get your MP back. The unique ability itself is actually really nice if you do invest in this weapon. I don't currently have a build for it. Even then, that's not really what we're using this with Serena. The important part to talk about is the Splendor effect. After reloading for 15 seconds, you get an additive 43.5% on your critical hit rate. So that on top of your base 10% is a little over 50. So between our cores and the mods, this will have a 100% critical hit rate when shooting it, which means when you shoot an enemy that doesn't have a buff preventing it, you will get your MP back very quickly with Serena. Just a quick demonstration of what I'm talking about. With your 2 ability activated while you're in the air, if you shoot an enemy and you get crits, your MP will recover. As you can see, my bar filling up just from shooting the Colossi. This works on all enemies. This is going to be a huge clutch if you find yourself low on MP while in combat. For reactors and components, everything is singular, and she's solar, so I went with burning singularity reactor with singular ratio and skill critical hit damage. This is honestly pretty amazing. I found no room for anything else. I experimented with like moving some cooldown stuff around. It felt unnecessary. I felt like this was absolutely best in the slot for this. For the component sets, I have 2 we're going to talk about. First, what I've been using is Slayer. This is just skill power damage on top of everything else. This is really huge in Onslaught right now. This is probably my preference to use, and I'll explain why. I'm running max HP and defense across the board with some MP recovery and max HP sub rolls, and even a little defense to help with damage that we're taking. Firebrand gets an honorable mention. I do use this in team play, but if there are multiple fire descendants using this, you only gain the benefit of the fire resistance buff or debuff on enemies per set. So having multiple players use this is really bad, and in public queue, there's a lot of Blairs and Serenas right now all running this. So I've taken a step back and I've just been using Slayer to take advantage of other players bringing this set in. If you do use Firebrand, just set it up the same way as Slayer and enjoy. Heading over to the arche board, assuming you have a good ancestor mod with the critical hit rate and the critical hit damage, this is the setup that you're going to want. You want to grab all 3 purple critical hit damages, the gold skill power, the gold cooldown, and the critical hit damage. For the mutant cell, I went with Fire Chain Catalyst. If you are considering arche reload, I do not recommend that, even though it has that critical hit rate. You're looking at a 30-second cooldown, and Onslaught is non-stop, so you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of this. That is why this is crossed off for me. Arche overheat shield. Keeping your shields up with Serena is not the easiest thing to do, so this critical hit damage is going to be off way more often than on. So for me, these 2 weren't even an option, and I went with Fire Chain Catalyst instead. Something else I want to show you guys too is, let's assume that you have skill cooldown and critical hit rate, or whatever. You have skill cooldown on your ancestor mod that's greater than 5%. This is a waste now. So if you have critical hit damage, critical hit rate, and skill cooldown on your ancestor mod, you're like, oh man, I got too much cooldown. What do I do? I would just eat this. Now you have freedom here. If you need some more critical hit rate, you can feed that here. If you want a little extra HP, you can feed that here. If you don't need the critical hit rate, you can get some extra range. You do have options with it in that situation. I don't, so I grabbed this instead. For the inversion reinforcement, I played with this for a little bit. I went with the cellular stimulation, that little bit of HP recovery every so often. When you're in the air, it's kind of hard to be consistent with getting HP, so this little HP buff is really nice from time to time. For some more damage reduction, I went with Hardened Shell and then Combat Adaptation. Both of these will give you negative damage modifiers, which is really nice to have. All right, going over the fellows. I don't usually go over this unless it's important. I do feel like this is important enough to mention. I went with Vesper's Hunting Dog for the steady ammo regen. You never have to worry about ammo unless you're just wasting bullets using him, which is instant MP recovery. For that reason, we will not be using the Snow Sled Dog, because with Wave of Light, we're getting infinite MP with a push of a button. So it seems like a waste to use him for that. If you do feel like you need a little bit more HP recovery though, the Hagios Sheepdog is still a really solid choice. Some notes for Onslaught, especially in public queue using this build. Do not fly too high. The higher you are, the more easy you are to get mowed down. I struggled with this the most. Getting comfortable with this build with survivability is it didn't seem to matter how much HP I threw on, how much damage reduction I threw on. No matter what I did, I kept dying. Finally, the answer I came up with is if you hover kind of, like above the enemies, but not like flying in the sky, you can wreak havoc from there just the same. It's a lot of damage, your survivability is a lot better, and you have access to the orbs on the ground for health and MP recovery if you need it. Something to look out for is your nemesis is going to be the stormtroopers. That's the big heavy set enemies with the Gatling guns that are basically fly swatters, and you're a big juicy fly to them. Those will mow you down so fast. If you see those guys, strafe to the right and left. Wait for them to do some kind of barrage. Don't just charge right to them thinking, oh, I'm doing millions, they're going to get decimated, because they will. But if there's enough of them, you're just going to get swatted right out of the sky. When it comes to card selection and Onslaught with this build, my absolute favorite combo was like Blessing of the Orbs, which is skill power increase, Rampage, which is outgoing damage modifier based off of the total kills. You do take more damage with that, so be careful if you do decide to take that. And then I liked Defense Master. Having that security blanket of staying alive is so huge in Onslaught. Multiple of my failed runs snowball just from one player going down. So if you're not that player, it's pretty huge with at least providing cover for your other teammates to get the reses if you're just bombing everything with Serena. I do believe that is it though for this video. If you guys found anything helpful or you have questions, comment them down below. consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel to help support that growth. I appreciate you guys. I will be back with another build video before too long. I hope you guys have fun with this like I have been, and enjoy your time in the First Descendant.